Hello again. In this video tutorial, I will show you the workflow of the rough retouching part with the Beauty Retouch CC panel. In case you missed the first video, please check it out. It was all about the raw conversion, what you can see here. And now it's time for the rough retouch. I'm not sure if the name is perfect for this part. If you can recommend a new name, please write it in the comments. But we call it here rough retouch. Maybe we'll change it later in an updated version. So when you click this button here, you will get a group with the name rough retouch, and right here you have different kind of blank layers. So when you are now on your retouching tool, let's say you are working with a healing brush tool, then you can check here sample, current and below. That is very important. And now you can retouch. So we have three different kind of layers. In this case, I don't have to retouch the background, so I don't work on this layer. Here is the body and here is the face. So, of course, you can do the rough retouch on just one layer. That's okay. But when I do the retouching, most of the time I split it a bit, in different kind of parts and sections. So when you do now the rough retouch, I mean, what I do here is not a rough retouching. It's a very detailed retouching, and you can do that later with a frequency separation as well. So in my workflow, sometimes I do not use the frequency separation technique. What is the next step here? Sometimes it's good for me to just work with blank layers and to retouch here the skin a little bit. And you can see I'm working here with a healing brush to fix the skin here a little bit. You can see here the before after. And of course, it's a bit time consuming here. And sometimes I do this for about 5 minutes. Sometimes I do it for about 10 minutes. And when there are difficult parts in the image, like, we have difference in tonality and different parts, then I use the frequency separation. But for some here, for some spots or there, it's very easy to do it with a blank layer. I do not need the frequency separation. And you can see I do not zoom in so close, and I do not retouch pixel by pixel. When you do some high-end retouching, maybe you have to zoom much more in the image, but I don't have so much time for a picture. And in this case, I do not zoom in so close. It depends a little bit, of course, if it's for a wall or a big print or just for the internet. All right, we have some hair here, and and now you saw I was retouching on the face on the body layer. This is, of course, not so good. We have 3 layers, but I told you, if you do not retouch the background, or if you don't like to retouch on the face, or just call it retouch, that's okay. Sometimes I've split it in 3 different layers. It's up to you. And now I do the rough retouch on just one layer. We have here some hair coming from the background here or behind her. You can choose your brush with 100% opacity and click here, and you have to figure out the hardness. I guess the hardness here is about 25%, and then you can paint in the white color. Oops, that was a little bit too much, so better raise it up here about 50%, and then you can paint in the white color to erase the hair behind the model. All right. So what else is rough retouch? I think it depends on how good you are in retouching. When you have a good knowledge, experience, you can do everything here on the blank layer. For me, the frequency separation, what I will explain in the next tutorial, is more for difficult parts. A difficult part here is maybe here the edges, because we have different kinds of tonality. Here bright, here dark, and then some fine edges. So this is a part for the frequency separation. Or blown out highlights, skin highlights is perfect to work with the frequency separation. But in my workflow, I try to do as much as I can here with the blank layer. And there is another layer in this group. Let me do here the rough retouch. Here the eyelashes. There is another layer in this group, and the third layer or the fourth layer, I don't know, here is a tonality layer. I mean, adjustment layer levels. And right here, you can adjust a little bit the tonality. Sometimes I make the image a little bit darker to see a little bit more the spots. Maybe you have some things on the background. You can see here, that was, by the way, Octabank. And right here, I can go to my retouch layer. I can choose my white color, and then I can paint. The point is, some people do not have a calibrated monitor. So a calibrated screen. And some people see the image like this. So when you play around a little bit with this tonality, you can check it out to find some dust spots in the background. So make sure you play around a little bit with this layer to figure out some wrinkles, some spots, what you can see when you do not change the tonality. So when I don't use this, sometimes I can see it. And this is the reason why there is a tonality layer inside. All right, so let me do a little bit more rough retouching here. It depends a little bit on time. We have a spot here, I don't know. No, this is not a spot, that was a healing brush preview. Okay, so this is all about the rough retouch. You saw it, you have 3 layers, but hey, you can delete 1 or 2. I mean, we have just here a very close-up portrait, but when you have a portrait of a full body shot with a background, with a very wild background, it makes sense to split it in 3 different layers, and then you can work on it. And right here, it's just, I merge it down, or I just use 1 layer and I call it retouch. This is a rough retouch, and in the next video I will show you the frequency separation technique.